Hello there. Are you a founder who's built an incredible product, but you want to maximize engagement for your product? If so, then today's session is for you. We'll be answering the question of how do you maximize product engagement for your startup? So without further ado, let's dive right in. Hello, everyone. My name is Shuo Chen. I am a former founder, now investing in founders and teaching founders at Berkeley and Stanford. And I'm excited to answer one of the top asked questions from founders in our community today, all about maximizing product engagement. So without further ado, we'll launch right in. Tactic 1 for maximizing product engagement is all about driving your users to complete your core action. Well, what's a core action? Well, the one core action for your startup or for your product are things that have the following features. So you want to identify this one core action of your product that, 1, forms the foundation of your product, 2, scales across almost all of your users, or at least your most important users, 3, clearly shows your product value when it's completed, 4, makes users more likely to return after a first experience, and 5, leaves a gap in user experience if this one core action is skipped. So you want to figure out, well, what is this one core action of your product? Essentially asking yourself, if I had to distill my product down to just this one core action, what is it? And let's use an example. If you looked at the example of Instagram or looked at the example, let's just take Instagram for an example. The one core action to Instagram when you ask the actual builders is it's all about being able to post one photo. So the moment that you are able to post a photo for the very first time, it helps form the foundation of this product, helps all of their users, help them understand the value of what it's like to post a photo, and of course, engages the user and make them more likely to come back, and leaves a gap in their experience if they never post a photo and just are on Instagram to look at other people's profiles but don't have any photos of their own. So take that example and figure out what your one core action for your product might look like. And so if your goal here for this first tactic is to drive users to complete your one core action, then you really want to think through, identify this one core action, and then implement it. And of course, next steps is you want to follow the FOG behavioral model. If you want to learn more, link below. And you want to guide users towards performing this one core action through motivation, ability, and triggers. So we'll cover more about how to motivate your users, give them the ability to complete this one core action, and hopefully give them the right triggers to not just complete this action, but feel rewarded at the end of it. And of course, all of the other features that you build in your product should support this one core action. So to recap, tactic 1 is all about driving your product users to complete your one core action in order to maximize your product engagement. Let's talk about the second tactic for maximizing product engagement, which is all about designing for accruing benefits and mounting losses. Well, so what does accruing benefits and mounting losses mean? Well, accruing benefits basically refer to as users contribute more data and spend more time on your product and your product improves, how it enhances the user experience over time. For example, the users will be getting more personalized recommendations over time. That's an example of these accruing benefits. They're also mounting losses, which refer to how the longer the user uses the product, the more dependent they become on the product, making it harder to leave because of all the value they've accumulated. And this could refer to the personal data they have, the identity and or reputation they have associated with using your product, or even valuable content they've accumulated on your platform over time. So you want to make sure that you're designing your product to maximize for accruing benefits and mounting losses to keep your users engaged on your platform. And that leads us to the third tactic, which is all focused on creating self-perpetuating virtuous loops. So what are virtuous loops? Virtuous loops are basically flywheels that convert your users' engagement into fuel that power your startup forward over time. And you really want to build these virtuous loops in order to help further engage and maximize engagement for users in your product. You want to identify and maximize any virtuous loops you can find, sometimes multiple at the same time for a product. I'll give you a couple of examples of these. First kind of virtuous loop are network effects, which are now commonly known, which basically refer to the more users you have, the more data you have about them, and the better recommendations you can give, and that attracts more users, or just the fact that the more users you have, the more likely they are to invite their friends, and therefore the more users you'll attract onto your platform. Another kind of virtuous loop, though, is what we call the growth loop. This refers to users that create metadata using your platform that you can then use to create content for SEO or to create collaborative experiences that pull other people in. And then the third kind of virtuous loop I'll give you an example of is what we call re-engagement loops. And these are where you send push notifications to your dormant users to reignite their interest in your product. And so the more virtuous loops you can identify and maximize, the further you can engage your users. And of course, if you want to read more, hyperlinked below. And in this process, you want to focus on reducing off-ramps as well. So off-ramps are referring to when your users will offboard your product. For example, if you're using a dating app, a successful date is an off-ramp because now users are no longer going to come back to your dating app. So you want to think about what is the right balance to strike between when this off-ramp is available, or if you are in the business of providing this off-ramp as a metric of success as quickly as possible, then you want to think about how to re-engage your users by offering additional products and services on top so that you're able to retain them for longer, even after that initial success metric. So to recap, we talked about 3 tactics to maximize product engagement. 1 being driving your users to complete your 1 core product action. 2, to design for accumulating benefits and mounting losses. And 3, to create self-perpetuating virtuous loops. If you're curious to learn more about traps to avoid as you implement these tactics and also other tools to leverage in this process, again, please feel free to check out our newsletter hyperlinked below and subscribe to learn more. Otherwise, please feel free to comment with any additional questions you want us to help cover in future weeks or share with your fellow founder friends.